I'd like to look at Christmas this morning from a little different angle than you normally hear from pulpits. I'd like to talk of people who struggle during the Christmas season. With all the merriment and good cheer about, the reality is that there are some among us for whom Christmas is not to be enjoyed, but endured. For some people, it is not a Merry Christmas, but a myrrh Christmas. What is a myrrh Christmas? 2 Sundays from now, the first Sunday in January, we will celebrate the Feast of the Epiphany. That is, of course, the observance of the story of the 3 so-called wise men, the Magi, who followed the star in the east to find the Messiah in a manger in Bethlehem. They came bearing highly symbolic gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The people with gold tended to be royalty. So the gold symbolized that Jesus is a king. Frankincense they used at religious events. In a sense, it's still used in many churches today, which signified that the baby was a god. Myrrh, among other things, was used as an embalming fluid. Myrrh, presented as a gift with the other 2, anticipated Good Friday, the death of Jesus. It was saying that this baby came with a purpose. So when I say myrrh Christmas, I'm saying that there is a sad and somber aspect to this season. Now, I'm part Irish, and some Irish people can be fun and funny, but also have something of a dark side. There's a certain gloominess intrinsic in our nature, which often bubbles to the surface this time of year. There's an Irish Christmas card a few years back. It said, "You were born in pain, live in despair, and die alone. Merry Christmas. Love, Mom." Christmas brings with it an intensity that just doesn't happen the rest of the year. The church is both in and of the world. The church has some seasons, Advent, for example, that the world outside the church ignores. Christmas, more than any other religious event that I know of, has been overrun as a religious event and is much more of a cultural event. We, the people of faith, know how increasingly difficult it is to find the Christ in Christmas. The guilt-driven gift buying, the parties, the feasting, the drinking, the increased tensions in some families all contribute to Christmas being a dangerous time for many people. Single adults and adults without children often feel left out at Christmas. People who have happy Christmas memories may have lost a loved one, a parent, a spouse, or God forbid, a child, have myrrh Christmases possibly for years, if not the rest of their lives. One wonders if the town of Newtown, Connecticut, will ever have a Merry Christmas, as the mass shootings of the first graders happened in mid-December. The anniversary was this past Friday. Some people who normally love Christmas might, on a particular Christmas, on maybe this particular Christmas, have a situation or a problem that saps the memory out of Christmas for them. They may have lost their job or home or something central to whom they are. Families with soldiers in harm's way, or the soldiers themselves, can feel proud but not very merry during Christmas. There are parents who can't afford to buy the gifts that the children hope for. There are people who buy beyond their capability. There are children of parents who have issues that make for painful Christmas experiences and memories. During the season, we are made to feel that we ought to be merry. The Merry Christmas crowd views the people who are not merry, for whatever reason, as miserable people. A single offhand comment by a Merry Christmas person pointing out that the signs of good cheer and good fellowship just might be attempts to make things appear better than they really are can be a cause of suspicion, as if you're trying to ruin it for everyone else. This only deepens the gloom of the Merry Christmas person. For some, there's a sad and somber reflection on someone or something lost that makes this time of year difficult. A famous Merry Christmas song is, of course, from the King, Elvis. I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue just thinking about you. You'll be doing all right with your Christmas of white, and I'll have a blue Christmas. Some merely reflect on yet another Christmas arriving in a sorry world, still torn by war, strife, hatred, hunger, and deprivation. Or maybe some reflect that another Christmas has rolled around and they still have not made the personal improvements that they intended for themselves last Christmas. They are still not the person they wish to be. Probably the definitive Merry Christmas song is from the late, great John Lennon, who began Happy Christmas with almost an accusatory tone and the melancholy words, "So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year older, a new one just begun." Then there are all the parties. Trust me on this, if you've never had the experience. Company Christmas parties are some of the most dangerous places in the world. If you are a career person, you cannot help your career much at what is now called the holiday gathering, but you can certainly hurt your career a lot at those things. They are minefields. The attire might be inappropriate, the dancing too awkward, the drink too many, an unwelcome advance, a welcome advance witnessed by the wrong people, or the wrong comment to the boss or his wife can literally sink a career. Company parties are the worst, but everything is exaggerated this time of year. There are more concerts, more dinners, more parties, more drinking, more eating. This is a risky time, even for folks who love the season. Do you know that Christmas was once illegal right here in good old Massachusetts? Yes, our spiritual ancestors, the Puritans, made it illegal to celebrate Christmas. Why? Well, it goes back to the pagan times and celebrations of the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, which happens this Friday, December 21st. When the solstice happened, it meant that the harvest was in, the hunting bounty butchered, the fish salted, the wood stacked, and the beer and the wine fermented. The solstice festival would go on for a month or even longer because there was basically nothing else to do. The Puritans didn't want the birth of the Lord to be lost in all the partying. When you look at what we've done to Christmas in the modern times, you can see that the Puritans made a faithful, albeit heavy-handed, decision. Even people who have no problem with Christmas have problems with Christmas. One of my best friends, Neil Shelley, is a retired lawyer and captain in the Naval Reserves. He and his wife had 4 children in the Washington, D.C. area. The kids are grown now, the youngest still in college. When the kids were young, maybe second grade on down, with a year or two gap in the age, I called him a few days before Christmas. I said, "So Neil, I imagine that there are visions of sugar plums dancing through the heads in your household?" He said, "Jim, it's a bleeping nightmare." Now, I wonder if you are, if you are someone who struggles, if you're not someone who struggles at Christmas, that's wonderful. I hope I haven't started your troubles with Christmas today. I'm hoping to raise our sensitivity to folks who in various degrees and in various ways are hurting this time of year. You may have detected that I've had more than a few Merry Christmases in my life, and I pray that they're behind me now. I'd like to end with a story. It's not my story. I read it in a book. A minister asked folks to submit a Christmas story from their lives, and he'd try to weave them into his Christmas Eve sermon. He ended up using only one because it inspired him so. This person had been one of 3 children who'd lost their mother to death and his father raised them in their not icy but cold and very rugged country of Ireland. It looked like it was going to be a Merry Christmas for their family. They lived in a cottage way out in the countryside. They were already eating only boiled potatoes and turnips, with some questions as to whether the food would hold up until spring. The father was a good man who worked very hard just to keep his family alive. It was not his fault that he lost his wife, who was the source of warmth and fun in the household. The father, for all his effort, was gruff and did not express his love verbally or with affection. The three children had no hope of a Merry Christmas with a feast and gifts. It looked like a Merry Christmas for sure. Then, when the children arose on Christmas morning, there was on the table, sitting on a white napkin, a big, bright, fresh, beautiful orange. The kids couldn't imagine how a fresh orange could possibly have gotten there. They woke their dad with great excitement. They asked every question, asking about how their dad had gotten the orange. After all, they were hours out of town, and there couldn't be any fresh oranges in that town. Their dad just said, "Call it a miracle." That's what they did, and no other explanation ever came forth. He said, "The orange is for you. Merry Christmas. Enjoy." The three kids worked together to carefully peel the orange and save the rind. They broke the precious fruit into sections and divided them up equally. They simultaneously put the fresh wedge in their mouths and savored the taste and the sweet juice. This was the greatest feast imaginable. Then the older brother stopped, and so did the other two, the girls. Excuse me. The boy realized that their dad had given them this gift and was finding his pleasure in just watching their enjoyment. The brother immediately gave his dad one of his wedges of orange, saying, "Merry Christmas, Dad." The dad ate the wedge of orange like it was communion. The sisters, the girls, also gave their dad a wedge of orange, saying, "Merry Christmas, Daddy." The story went on to become family legend. The children told the story basically as I have described it. But the dad had a different story. He never let on how the fresh orange made it to that little cottage on that Christmas morn. Instead, he spoke of the sacred moment, maybe the most precious moment of his whole life. What he spoke of was when his own son recognized that his father was without and reached out with the only and best gift he had, a piece of that orange. It was love expressed on Christmas. It was a Merry Christmas redeemed in the smallest gift given in love. There are miracles at Christmas, and they are in the smallest of gifts. It's when we give of ourselves. That is what God did in Bethlehem, so many years ago. God's own self became human. God gave God's own self to the world so it might be saved. A little baby became the hope of the world. A little baby showed God's love for the world that first Christmas. Now, if you're a Merry Christmas person, great. I hope you enjoy every minute. But remember, at this time of year, many who struggle financially, emotionally, and spiritually, I ask you to allow them their struggles. Respect them. They have their reasons. Please don't make them feel bad for their lack of merry. Kindness, even in the smallest of gestures, is a good approach. Now, if you're a Merry Christmas person, remember that, yes, there are still Christmas miracles, and they still happen in the smallest of ways. Watch for them.